Did you ever hear of Kong? If you know that line, then you're a monster kid, because that's the famous line that Carl Denham says to Captain Inglehorn. And then Captain Inglehorn goes, yeah, some kind of native superstition or something. Well, I'm Dave, the crazed collector, monster kid incarnate from Super Monster City. And my co-founder and I, Steven, we've created a traveling exhibit of pop culture that highlights the monster, the imaginative, and the fantastic. And we take toys all over the country to libraries, community centers, all sorts of cool places. And right now, I'm gonna read the history of King Kong according to the Aurora monster model instructions that I talked about last week. If you remember, Aurora came out with a series of monster models. That's what the monster model looked like when it was built. Here's how to put the monster model together. All right, got that? Good. Now, as a kid, a tiny little kid, I thought what was amazing was that they included a biography of King Kong. Are you ready? This might take a bit, but King Kong. And it might not make sense. 7 million years ago, a gigantic ape was born on a small island off the Malay Peninsula. While still a baby, Kong's parents were killed by a Tyrannosaurus. Millions of years passed, but the island remained the same. Prehistoric monsters still roamed there. It was as if time stopped on this one small island. King Kong grew unbelievably large and strong. Savage natives invaded the island, but Kong remained the absolute ruler. In desperation, the natives built an immense wall across the base of the island to keep out the prehistoric creatures and the monster Kong. They worshipped Kong as a god, and they appeased his wrath by sacrificing young natives to him. Oh my gosh. A movie producer, which would have been Carl Denham, known for his exciting and dangerous films, acquired a crudely drawn map of Kong's island, Skull Island. He hired a tramp steamer and set sail from New York in quest of adventure. With him was a girl, an unknown, whom he was going to make into a star. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. Hang on. As weeks passed, the crew became disturbed at the secrecy of the voyage. Only the producer knew the destination. They were also disturbed by the great quantity of ammunition and gas bombs on board, enough to launch a full-scale war. Oh my goodness. Finally, the crew insisted upon knowing the destination, so the producer asked if they had ever heard of King Kong. Of course they had, since it was a Malay superstition that most sailors had heard at one time or another. He told them that it was not a superstition, and that he had the only existing map of the legendary island where Kong lived. Skull Island was their destination. Oh my goodness. Early one morning, the ship became fog-bound in strange waters. Suddenly, out of the mist arose a gigantic skull. On closer inspection, the crew realized it was only a rock formation, the one for which... Hang on, I got to find the next page. Oh, I got a little bit more. Hang on. Are you excited? Okay, good. It was the rock formation that for the island was named. In fact, the whole island was surrounded by rocks except for a small sandy peninsula. Okay, from the deck they could see the enormous retaining wall. They shuddered at the horrors that lay in wait for them behind the wall. Landing on the beach of this lost world, they realized that a sacrificial ceremony was going on. A native spotted them and the ceremony stopped. Okay, that's true. The witch doctor wanted the girl from the ship as a gift for Kong. The crew refused and ran for their lives. That night, a group of the natives kidnapped the girl from the ship. They tied her to a stone altar outside the gates of the wall. She heard the sounds of some immense beast drawing closer. Oh my God. The natives ran in terror. Kong came out of the jungle. I'm going to get there. It's getting exciting. He approached the altar, ready to take his delicious snack. Suddenly, he stopped. Never had he seen such a creature like this, a girl with golden hair. He picked her up and held her close to his enormously wrinkled face. His hot breath seared her flesh. Then he carried her off into the jungle. By now, the crew realized, oh my God, they realized that the girl was gone and went in search of her. They tore open the gates in time to see Kong carry her off. The producer sent back to the ship for gas bombs. When they arrived, he and the crew plunged into the dense underbrush. Overhead, they saw flying lizards. Oh my goodness. Around them, they heard weird noises. From a thicket, a gigantic spike-tailed monster charged at them. Bullets would not stop it. Luckily, the gas bombs did, and the beast fell to the ground stunned. Now they were able to kill the beast at close range. That's true. Then the girl was sighted high up on a ledge. Oh my goodness. The plan of rescue was decided upon. The crew would divert the ape while the first mate climbed onto the ledge to bring her down. Okay, sorry. Bring her down. It worked, but now they had to get back to the wall. They scattered. Well, we'll talk about this later. They scattered, and each taking a different path, so Kong would be unable to follow them back and follow them easily. Once inside the gates, the producer decided to bring King Kong back to civilization. Oh, we know what's going to happen next, don't we? Okay. Okay, he's going to come back to civilization rather than to film him, using the girls as a lure. They got King Kong inside the gates, where they used the gas bombs to subdue him. Then, heavily chained, they loaded the unconscious Kong onto the ship. Only 2 more paragraphs. Hang in there. Back in New York, King Kong was ready to go on display in the city's largest theater. Crowds gathered at the entrance. When the last person had been admitted, the lights grew dim. There behind bars was the mighty Kong. The crowd grew noisy. In their fear and amazement, the noise so enraged Kong that with his tremendous strength, he broke through the bars which imprisoned him. What bars? Frightened people scattered in all directions. Kong got loose on the street. Last paragraph. Helicopters. What? This is 1933, remember. Helicopters followed the path of his destruction. Buildings toppled. He crushed the elevated train with one powerful blow from his mighty fist. At the Empire State Building, Kong found her what he was searching for. The girl from the voyage. He snatched her up and began climbing up the side of the building. And you know where this is going to go. Fighter planes were called out. Kong set the girl down on the ledge and began swatting at the planes as if they were flies. Finally, one plane got enraged and mortally wounded Kong. He came crashing down the side of the building to the street beneath. When the world realized that the monster Kong, the 8th wonder of the world, was killed, they breathed a sigh of relief. But what of the rumors that Kong had a son? Is it merely legend or is it fact? And that, my friends, if you've endured to the end, is the story of King Kong from Aurora Models in the early 60s. Now, as you may know, if you're a monster kid, if you've ever seen King Kong, the 1933 version with Ann Darrow as, God, I'm blanking. You tell me who played her. You know, anyway, you'll tell me in a second. I've been out in the sun too long, and I've got my incredible, fighting jersey on here. Yeah, she was a screen queen. It was a great movie, but there were no helicopters. There were no cage to hold Kong in. There was no diverting Kong with the other guys. A little bit of artistic license with this. Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, we at a Super Monster City like to tell you stuff that you don't know. Maybe you don't know this. Anyway, I've been talking too long. How long is this?
8 minutes.
8 minutes. Well, you're still here. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.